In 1997, Titanic changed Hollywood forever, but the faces we loved look startlingly different today. Some found immortality while others vanished entirely, and one star is completely unrecognizable. Let's uncover the shocking transformations of this legendary cast. Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson. Born on November 11, 1974, in Los Angeles, California. The actor first brought the free-spirited artist Jack Dawson to life in James Cameron's 1997 epic, Titanic. At the age of 21, DiCaprio's portrayal of the charming, penniless third-class passenger became a massive cultural touchstone, offering a cinematic depiction of doomed true love that was universally resonant. His performance sparked the staggering global phenomenon known as Leomania, establishing Jack Dawson as the ultimate romantic hero of the decade and helping propel the feature to become the highest-grossing movie of all time for many years. Despite the character's purely romantic, extroverted, and carefree nature, Leonardo DiCaprio found the immediate aftermath of playing Jack Dawson to be professionally stifling. Driven by a relentless desire to be respected as a serious, transformative actor, DiCaprio deeply resented the teen heartthrob and pretty boy labels that the role had firmly attached to him. This unprecedented fame brought immense, suffocating tabloid scrutiny that contrasted sharply with his desire to maintain a serious private life. To combat the very real threat of being permanently typecast as a conventional romantic lead, he deliberately stepped away from traditional commercial blockbusters, struggling for a period to redefine his public image by actively seeking out darker, grittier, and far more complex roles to prove his depth beyond the iconic ship. Leonardo DiCaprio successfully shattered his heartthrob image over the following decades, evolving into one of the most respected and critically acclaimed actors of his generation, and eventually winning the Academy Award for Best Actor for his grueling work in The Revenant. At 51, he remains a dominant, highly sought-after force in Hollywood, celebrated for his long-standing collaborative partnerships with legendary directors like Martin Scorsese. Outside of his cinematic achievements, he is fiercely dedicated to environmentalism, utilizing his massive platform and personal wealth to combat climate change and protect global biodiversity. In his personal life, he has never married and remains highly protective of his privacy, even as his high-profile dating life continues to occasionally attract media attention. Kate Winslet as Rose DeWitt Bukater. Born on October 5, 1975 in Reading, Berkshire, England, the acclaimed British actress achieved global superstardom aboard the ill-fated ocean liner in James Cameron's 1997 epic Titanic. At the age of 20, Winslet took on the role of the aristocratic and rebellious debutante, creating a cultural phenomenon alongside co-star Leonardo DiCaprio. Her portrayal of a young woman breaking free from the suffocating constraints of Edwardian high society struck a massive chord with audiences worldwide, helping the film become the highest-grossing movie of all time for over a decade, and cementing Rose as a timeless cinematic icon. Despite portraying an upper-class American heiress, Kate Winslet's real-life persona was drastically different. She was a famously down-to-earth, unpretentious woman from a working-class acting family. The unprecedented success of Titanic brought its own set of intense professional and personal hardships. Winslet struggled immensely with the sudden suffocating level of global fame and faced cruel, relentless body shaming from the British tabloid press, which deeply affected her during her early 20s. Determined to avoid being typecast solely as a blockbuster leading lady or a corseted English rose, she deliberately retreated from major studio pictures to seek out smaller, less commercial independent films like Hideous Kinky and Holy Smoke. While this pivot frustrated industry executives who wanted her to capitalize on her blockbuster momentum, the strategic shift ultimately protected her from burnout and allowed her to build a formidable reputation as a versatile character actress. Over the following decades, Winslet solidified her status as one of her generation's greatest actors, eventually winning an Academy Award for The Reader, 2008, and multiple Emmy Awards for acclaimed television miniseries like Mildred Pierce and Mayor of Easttown. In her personal life, she navigated the public dissolution of her first two marriages before finding lasting happiness with her third husband, Edward Abel Smith, raising a family of 3 children. At 50, she remains a powerhouse in the entertainment industry, continuing to take on commanding roles in high-profile television series and feature films. Living a relatively private life in rural England, away from the Hollywood glare, she has become a vocal advocate for positive body image and natural aging, completely transcending the intense scrutiny that followed her iconic breakout role. Kathy Bates as Molly Brown. Born on June 28, 1948 in Memphis, Tennessee, the acclaimed actress first took on the role of the historical figure Margaret "Molly" Brown during the 1996 production of James Cameron's epic Titanic. At the age of 48, Bates's portrayal of the unsinkable and outspoken nouveau riche passenger became a cultural touchstone, offering a warm, grounded, and fiercely independent depiction of new money in a rigid, class-obsessed society. Her performance was universally beloved, adding a vital layer of heart and humanity to the blockbuster phenomenon that remains one of the most successful films in cinematic history. Despite the character's bombastic, extroverted, and unapologetically confident persona, Kathy Bates is known to be far more introspective and has often spoken candidly about her private battles with self-doubt and depression. This contrast was a significant part of her personal journey. Unlike the fiercely self-assured Molly Brown, Bates spent years facing professional hardships and painful rejection. Early in her career, she struggled to find film work and was frequently told she was not conventionally pretty enough to succeed on screen, keeping her relegated to stage roles, while Hollywood starlets were given the film adaptations of her theatrical successes. Even after achieving Oscar-winning stardom, she faced industry ageism and stinging professional disappointments. Her hit television series, Harry's Law, was controversially canceled, despite drawing millions of viewers simply because its audience skewed too old for network advertisers. And years later, a disheartening experience on a film set left her so demoralized, she considered quitting acting altogether. Kathy Bates continued to work prolifically in television and film, finding a major career resurgence in Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story anthology, though she never had children, and remained a private individual following her 1997 divorce from actor Tony Campisi. She is also a resilient 2-time cancer survivor, having successfully battled ovarian cancer in 2003 and breast cancer in 2012, which led her to become a passionate advocate for lymphedema awareness. At 77, she is starring in the hit series and experiencing a celebrated career renaissance, having reconsidered her retirement to embrace a healthier lifestyle and continue her powerful legacy in Hollywood. Billy Zane as Caledon Hockley. Born on February 24, 1966. The Chicago, Illinois native first took on the role of the arrogant steel heir when filming began for James Cameron's 1997 epic romance, Titanic. At the age of 30, Zane's portrayal of the snobbish, possessive, and abusive Caledon Hockley became a cultural touchstone, offering a cinematic depiction of toxic wealth and entitlement that was both captivating and universally despised. For a film that became a global box office juggernaut, his sneering charm and villainous presence defined a character that remains one of Hollywood's most memorable and iconic antagonists. Despite the character's toxic, classist, and controlling nature, Billy Zane is widely known in real life as an affable, eccentric, and laid-back individual, described by those who know him as the polar opposite of Caledon Hockley. This sharp contrast was a testament to his acting abilities, though playing such an effective villain brought severe professional hardships. His career was heavily marked by the struggle of being typecast. He later publicly described the role as both a blessing and a curse. Because he became so synonymous with playing wealthy, smarmy bad guys, Hollywood casting directors hesitated to take risks on him for diverse or heroic leading roles. This forced him away from major A-list blockbusters, making it difficult for him to secure top-tier studio work and pushing him to find creative independence in lower-budget B-movies and independent films. Billy Zane continued to work prolifically in television and film for decades, establishing himself as a versatile character actor while also finding significant success off-screen as an abstract expressionist painter. He took on various roles in critically acclaimed indie projects like The Believer, had a memorable arc on the television series Charmed, and voiced the villain Ansem in the hit video game Kingdom Hearts. In his personal life, he shares 2 daughters with his former partner model Candice Neal. As of 2026, at the age of 60, he is enjoying a major career resurgence, having recently produced and starred as Marlon Brando in the biographical drama Waltzing with Brando. His uncanny physical resemblance to the legendary actor and his spot-on performance have earned him significant critical acclaim, proving his enduring theatrical talent far beyond the legacy of the doomed luxury liner. Bill Paxton as Brock Lovett. Born on May 17, 1955 in Fort Worth, Texas, the versatile actor took on the role of the ambitious modern-day treasure hunter in James Cameron's 1997 cinematic epic. At the age of 41, Paxton's portrayal of Brock Lovett served as the crucial framing device for Titanic, anchoring the audience in the present before plunging them into the historical romance. His character's evolution from a cynical, profit-driven explorer searching for the heart of the ocean to a man deeply humbled by the human tragedy of the sinking mirrored the emotional journey of the audience, making him an integral part of one of the highest-grossing and most culturally significant films in history. Despite Lovett's initially opportunistic, arrogant, and emotionally detached nature, Bill Paxton was widely celebrated in real life as the polar opposite, one of Hollywood's most genuine, warm, and enthusiastically kind-hearted figures. This contrast highlighted his acting range, as he often had to push past his natural affability to play hardened or self-serving individuals. Throughout his career, Paxton faced the professional struggle of breaking out of the character actor mold. Following his breakout scene-stealing performances in 1980s sci-fi and action hits, he wrestled with being typecast as the loud, eccentric sidekick or the intense antagonist, making it difficult for a time to be taken seriously as a dramatic leading man. He also navigated the unpredictable nature of the television industry, notably dealing with the frustrating cancellation of projects and the heartbreaking reality of having his final starring television role in the series Training Day cut short by his abrupt passing. In his later years, Paxton enjoyed a highly acclaimed television renaissance, starring as polygamist patriarch Bill Henriksen in HBO's Big Love for 5 seasons, and delivering an Emmy-nominated performance in the hit miniseries Hatfields and McCoys. A devoted family man, he remained married to his wife Louise Newberry for 30 years, raising 2 children and maintaining a steadfast, grounded life away from the Hollywood glare. Tragically, Paxton passed away on February 25, 2017 at the age of 61 after suffering a fatal stroke caused by complications from open-heart surgery to replace a damaged bicuspid aortic valve and repair an aneurysm. Bernard Hill as Captain Edward James Smith. Born on December 17, 1944 in Blackley, Manchester, England, the acclaimed actor first brought Captain Smith to life during the 1996 filming of James Cameron's cinematic epic. At the age of 51, Hill's portrayal of the stoic and tragic maritime commander became a cultural touchstone, offering a moving depiction of Edwardian duty and historical heartbreak. For millions of moviegoers, his quiet gravitas and unforgettable final scene at the helm defined a character that remains one of cinema's most iconic authority figures. Despite the character's posh, restrained, and upper-class demeanor, Bernard Hill was fiercely passionate, hailing from a working-class Catholic family of miners, and described by those who knew him as the polar opposite of the aristocratic Captain Smith. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. He found embodying the rigid constraints of a historical authority figure to be a unique challenge compared to the rugged, outspoken men he played early in his career. His career was also marked by the struggle of being typecast, which for a period made it difficult for him to be seen beyond his monumental supporting roles as doomed leaders and kings. The immense shadow of his most famous blockbuster appearances brought a professional sting, as the industry sometimes overlooked his vast theatrical range and groundbreaking British television roots, making it challenging for him to secure the gritty, nuanced leading roles in which he originally thrived. Bernard Hill continued to work in television and film for decades, settling into a quiet personal life in Braeden, Suffolk with his family. He famously took on the starring role of King Theoden in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, securing his legacy as the only actor in history to appear in multiple films that won 11 Academy Awards. His final television performance was in the BBC police drama The Responder. Hill passed away in the early hours of May 5, 2024 at the age of 79 from an undisclosed cause. His death was followed by a massive outpouring of heartfelt tributes from his former co-stars and a poignant aftermath as his passing occurred on the exact day the second season of his final television series was scheduled to premiere. Victor Garber as Thomas Andrews. Born on March 16, 1949 in London, Ontario, Canada, the accomplished stage and screen actor brought a quiet dignity to James Cameron's blockbuster epic. At the age of 47, Garber took on the role of Thomas Andrews, the brilliant but tragic chief designer of the RMS Titanic. His moving portrayal offered a poignant look at a noble man who realizes his magnificent creation is doomed, culminating in the haunting and unforgettable scene of him standing stoically by the clock in the first-class smoking room as the ship goes down. The 1997 film became a massive global phenomenon, and Garber's gentle, sympathetic performance cemented his character as a cultural touchstone representing the devastating human cost of the tragedy. Despite playing such a solemn, guilt-ridden historical figure and later becoming widely known for playing stern, serious authority figures, Garber is known off-screen as the polar opposite of his stoic characters. Behind his steady career, Garber has also faced persistent challenges. He has had to navigate the grueling hours of film and television production while managing type 1 diabetes, an illness he was diagnosed with at age 12 that requires lifelong rigorous vigilance. Professionally, although a highly sought-after actor, he frequently endured the volatility of the television landscape, facing the sudden and frustrating cancellations of multiple series he starred in over the years, such as Justice, Eli Stone, Deception, and Family Law, forcing him to continually pivot in a famously unpredictable industry. Garber's resilience allowed him to maintain a highly successful and varied career, becoming beloved for his Emmy-nominated role as Jack Bristow in Alias, his work as Dr. Martin Stein in DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and appearances in films like Legally Blonde and the Academy Award-winning Argo. An intensely private person for much of his early career, he publicly confirmed his sexuality in 2012 and later married his longtime partner, artist and model Reiner Andreessen, in 2015 after more than a decade together. At 77, he remains a highly respected and active presence in both the theater community and on screen, continuing to share his tremendous talent while serving as a dedicated advocate for diabetes research and awareness. Frances Fisher as Ruth DeWitt Bukater. Born on May 11, 1952 in Milford-on-Sea, Hampshire, England, the classically trained actress began her on-screen career in daytime soap operas before transitioning to film. At the age of 44, Fisher first took on the role of the domineering and status-obsessed Ruth DeWitt Bukater when filming for James Cameron's 1997 blockbuster Titanic commenced. Her portrayal of Rose's mother became a massive cultural touchstone, perfectly capturing the rigid social hierarchies of the Edwardian era. Fisher created an unforgettable antagonist whose desperate, suffocating push to secure her family's wealth through her daughter's loveless marriage resonated deeply with audiences and highlighted the tragic constraints placed upon women of the time. Despite playing a fiercely conservative, snobbish, and emotionally restrictive matriarch, Frances Fisher's real-life personality is profoundly different. Known for her bohemian spirit, progressive political views, and passionate labor activism, she is the polar opposite of the tight-laced Ruth. Her incredibly convincing performance, however, became a double-edged sword. Fisher frequently found herself typecast in the years that followed, battling the professional hardship of being repeatedly offered roles as stern, wealthy mothers or austere, authoritative figures. Like many working character actors, she also had to navigate the volatile nature of the television industry, enduring the sudden cancellations of promising shows like ABC's Resurrection and facing periods where finding roles outside of the rigid matriarch archetype proved to be a significant challenge. Frances Fisher continued to build an enduring and versatile career across film and television, taking on acclaimed projects such as the hit HBO series Watchmen, The Thriller, The Lincoln Lawyer, and numerous independent films. Off-screen, she is a dedicated mother to her daughter Francesca from her high-profile 1990s relationship with Clint Eastwood. At 73, she remains an active, respected, and outspoken figure in Hollywood, successfully balancing her ongoing acting career with her lifelong dedication to union activism and progressive causes. Ioan Gruffudd as Fifth Officer Harold Lowe. Born on October 6, 1973, in Llwyd Coed, Aberdare, Wales, the Welsh actor gained worldwide recognition when he stepped onto the deck of James Cameron's cinematic masterpiece, Titanic. At the age of 23, Gruffudd's portrayal of Fifth Officer Harold Lowe, the heroic commanding seaman who was the only officer to return to the freezing waters to rescue survivors, became an unforgettable part of the film's cultural legacy. His gripping performance in the biggest blockbuster of its time launched his international career and vividly cemented Lowe's historical bravery in the minds of audiences everywhere. Despite playing a stern, authoritative figure barking orders amid the chaos of a sinking ship, Gruffudd in reality is known as an amiable, soft-spoken, and charmingly polite individual, a stark contrast to his fierce on-screen persona. Following the massive success of the film, his career was marked by the struggle of being typecast in historical period dramas and naval roles, most notably starring as the titular character in the Hornblower television films. As he attempted to branch out as a leading man in modern American television, he faced significant professional hurdles. Promising series he headlined, such as Ringer and the cult favorite procedural Forever, suffered painful premature cancellations despite deeply dedicated fan bases. In more recent years, his efforts to secure stable work in Hollywood were compounded by intense personal hardships, navigating a highly publicized bitter divorce that brought unwanted tabloid scrutiny and emotional distress. Euan Gruffudd has persevered through these setbacks, continuing to work steadily in international film and television with notable roles in the psychological thriller series Liar, the Australian medical drama Harrow, and the 2024 blockbuster film Bad Boys Ride or Die. As of 2026, at the age of 52, he has successfully transitioned into portraying more complex, mature characters on screen. Gloria Stuart as Older Rose. Born on July 4, 1910 in Santa Monica, California, the veteran actress experienced a late-in-life resurgence when she first took on the role of the centenarian survivor in James Cameron's 1997 epic romance Titanic. At the age of 86, Stewart's portrayal of older Rose Dawson Calvert became a cultural touchstone, serving as the emotional anchor for what would become the highest-grossing film of its time. Her poignant performance as the fierce, independent storyteller not only captivated audiences worldwide, but also earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, making her the oldest acting nominee in Oscar history at the time. While Older Rose was celebrated as a remarkably liberated and enduring survivor who lived her life on her own terms, Gloria Stuart's own journey through Hollywood was marked by profound early frustration and a desire to escape the industry entirely. During the 1930s, the glamorous actress was consistently typecast by studio executives into superficial B-movie roles she famously described as the girl reporter, girl detective, or girl overboard. Longing for substantive theatrical challenges, she felt deeply stifled by the lack of meaningful parts and the rigid Hollywood studio system. This professional hardship eventually led her to completely walk away from her acting career in the mid-1940s, a stark contrast to her character's lifelong embrace of adventure. During her nearly 30-year hiatus from the screen, she reinvented herself as a dedicated visual artist and fine printer before gradually returning to the entertainment industry in the 1970s. Gloria Stuart continued to work occasionally in film and television, following her Titanic triumph, making her final cinematic appearance in Wim Wenders' Land of Plenty in 2004. A lifelong political activist and a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild, she lived a vibrant personal life surrounded by her daughter, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. After surviving breast cancer decades earlier, she was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2005, but faced it with her trademark determination, refusing to let the illness diminish her golden years. Stewart passed away in her sleep at her home in Los Angeles, California, on September 26, 2010, at the age of 100 from respiratory failure related to lung cancer. Jonathan Hyde as J. Bruce Ismay. Born on May 21, 1948 in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, the esteemed classical actor first brought the managing director of the White Star Line to life in James Cameron's 1997 epic Titanic. At the age of 48, Hyde's portrayal of the arrogant executive who infamously urged the captain to increase the ship's speed and later cowardly sneaked onto a lifeboat became a cultural touchstone. His performance captured the tragic hubris of the doomed voyage, offering an unforgettable depiction of corporate greed and self-preservation that established J. Bruce Ismay as one of cinematic history's most widely despised and recognizable historical antagonists. Despite the character's cowardly, egotistical, and self-serving nature on screen, Jonathan Hyde is a deeply respected, sophisticated, and dedicated stage veteran whose real personality is a stark contrast to the spineless executive he portrayed. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. As a classically trained member of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and the Royal Shakespeare Company, he approached the deliberately unsympathetic character with nuance, yet found the ensuing blockbuster fame to be a double-edged sword. His career was heavily marked by the struggle of being typecast by Hollywood, which for a long period made it difficult for him to find diverse leading roles. His commanding presence and aristocratic demeanor pigeonholed him into playing wealthy snobs, strict authority figures, or British villains in films like Jumanji, Richie Rich, and The Mummy, frequently overshadowing his immense versatility as a stage actor and frustrating his attempts to break out of the antagonist mold in mainstream American cinema. Jonathan Hyde continued to work in television, film, and theater for decades, though he strongly prioritized his theatrical roots and remained a grounded, family-oriented individual. In his personal life, he has been happily married to Scottish operatic soprano Isabel Buchanan since 1980, and the couple has 2 daughters, including successful actress Georgia King. At 77, Jonathan Hyde remains an active and highly regarded figure in the acting community, still performing on stage and teaching master classes, maintaining a quiet dignity entirely removed from the infamous historical figure who defined his mainstream career. Eric Braeden as John Jacob Astor. Born Hans-Jörg Gudegast on April 3, 1941 in Bredenbeck, Germany, the acclaimed actor brought the historical figure of John Jacob Astor to life in the 1997 blockbuster Titanic. At the age of 55, Braeden's portrayal of the wealthiest passenger aboard the doomed luxury liner captured the opulent, stoic essence of the Gilded Age elite. His performance resonated as a poignant symbol of the tragedy, illustrating to audiences that unimaginable wealth and societal status could not purchase salvation from the impending disaster. The James Cameron film itself became a colossal cultural phenomenon, cementing Braeden's memorable depiction of the doomed billionaire in cinematic history. Despite playing a character born into immense generational wealth and limitless privilege, Eric Braeden's real life stood in stark contrast. Growing up in the devastating poverty of post-World War II Germany and losing his father at a young age, he emigrated to the United States as a teenager and worked a series of grueling physical jobs before discovering acting. Early in his career, he faced intense professional hardships, most notably the deep frustration of being heavily typecast as the German villain or a Nazi soldier in 1960s television and film under his birth name. The struggle to break free from these narrow, stereotypical roles eventually led him to adopt the stage name Eric Braeden. Even after establishing himself in the industry, he frequently had to fight for creative respect, battling the stigma and limitations often placed upon daytime television actors by the broader entertainment world. Braeden went on to forge a legendary career, most famously starring as the ruthless but fiercely protective patriarch Victor Newman on the daytime soap opera The Young and the Restless, a role he actually began in 1980 and brought renewed prestige to following his time on Titanic. He has faced personal health battles in his later years, including a 2023 diagnosis of prostate cancer, which he bravely fought and later announced he had beaten. At 84, he remains a beloved and active force in the entertainment industry, continuing to command the screen and proving his enduring resilience both on and off camera. Euan Stewart as First Officer Murdoch. Born on August 26, 1957 in Glasgow, Scotland, the talented stage and screen actor had built a solid foundation in UK television before landing his most globally recognized role in James Cameron's historical epic Titanic, 1997. At the age of 39, Stewart's portrayal of the doomed real-life First Officer William McMaster Murdoch placed him at the center of a cinematic juggernaut that became a worldwide cultural phenomenon. His performance effectively captured the immense pressure and ultimate tragedy of the ship's frantic final hours, leaving a lasting impression on millions of viewers as the officer who desperately ordered the ship to turn before being swallowed by the sheer chaos of the sinking vessel. Despite the highly dramatic and tragically flawed nature of his character in the film, Euan Stewart is known off-screen as a grounded, thoughtful, and deeply sensitive individual, sharply contrasting with the panicked figure he played on the ship's deck. However, his connection to the blockbuster was heavily marred by a unique professional hardship and immense controversy. In the film, the script depicted Murdoch shooting 2 passengers before turning the gun on himself, a fictionalized conclusion that sparked intense outrage from Murdoch's real-life descendants and his Scottish hometown of Dalbeattie. The fierce backlash overshadowed Stewart's performance and forced both the studio and director James Cameron to formally apologize. The ordeal took a personal and professional toll on Stewart, who later expressed profound regret and shame over his involvement in the scene. Following the massive wake of the Titanic controversy, Euan Stewart returned to his roots, focusing on a steady and highly respected career across British television, film, and theater. Stewart has always maintained a relatively private, personal life, residing in London with his wife, English actress Claire Byam-Shaw, with whom he shares 2 children. At 68, he remains a highly regarded veteran of the British acting community, far removed from the turbulent Hollywood spotlight and the historical storm that once surrounded his most famous performance. The stars of Titanic gave us a gift that transcends the boundaries of time, capturing a moment of pure cinematic magic that still feels fresh today. Watching them evolve is a beautiful reminder of our own journey through the years. Was there a specific actor you lost track of over the years? Let us know who you were most excited to see again in the comments, and subscribe to join our community of film lovers.